Hey friends. So I just wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about the shit show of 2020 and how it has affected so many people. Um, a lot of people are going through a few different things right now. I am calling this the splitting of the timelines. You got a lot of people who are waking up to the corruption and the bullshit and the confusion and the darkness, and then you've got a lot of people who are just extremely uncomfortable right now because everything that they have known to depend on is crumbling, and you're in the trauma response and it's just not making sense. So I'm going to do my best to break it down for you, and maybe it'll resonate, maybe not, but I know that a lot of people are feeling this. And the truth is, if you're watching this, chances are you're only a few decades old. And you were born into a system that is a few hundred years old. And so you don't fully know the true intentions behind the system, this matrix people are calling it. It's very real. It's a structure that has been meant to keep everybody asleep, unawakened, in a low vibrational frequency, and we're taught to just do the things. I mean, we come into this life and we are taught to, go to school, go to work, just do whatever the system is telling us to do. And when we come into this world, we come in with what's called the universal consciousness, the God consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But we come into this world just ready to learn, ready to love, ready to experience all that is to experience. And from the beginning, we are conditioned that this is what life is. This is what we need to do. This is how to do it. And because we don't know any better, because we don't know the original intentions of the system, we go with it because we just trust that those who are official and, it's their job to take care of us, we just trust that that's what's happening. This year, a lot of people are realizing that it's bullshit. And it's like I said, some people are waking up, some people are waking up angry, some people are confused, some people are not wanting to wake up because it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, you're only a few decades old, but at the same time, this is all you know. And it's crumbling, and it's not making sense. And I'm watching too many people barely hang on by a thread. So let's just talk about how 2020 has affected so many people. I've seen a lot of people lose their job. I've seen a lot of people lose their family. I've seen a lot of people realize that you don't even like your family. I mean, that's kind of a hard truth, but again, we're born into this matrix and everybody checks the boxes. People have kids, people get married, people get the house, the car. But when the world stopped this year and everyone was forced to kind of slow down and sit with the life they've created, a lot of people started to realize that they hate it. It makes no sense. Conditioning, this matrix. We go to school and we're taught at 18 we're adults. And everything we know is all there is to know. And it's a hard reality when you actually go out there. How many memes have I seen where people are like, oh, I was never taught how to do my taxes, but I'm glad I know, 8th grade algebra or whatever, the Pythagorean theorem. And again, it's this intuitive knowing. People know that the system isn't for them. People know that it's working against you. But again, it's the only system you know. It's the only thing you've been conditioned into believing in. And it's now working against you. And so everybody is in what's called the dark night of the soul right now. And what the dark night of the soul is really just that, confusion. You are feeling really disconnected from your universal truth. And the universal truth is so much more incredible than you can imagine. This is kind of why I share a lot of the conspiracies. And I'm doing my best to find the balance. Maybe it's a Libra thing, because it's like, you gotta know who and what you are, because an awakened human being is a true threat to the system. It's a true threat to the system. And this is why people are MK Ultra'd and legit brainwashed and mind controlled. You know, if you don't know what MK Ultra is, do some research. But just kind of in layman's terms, it's you're drugged and you're hypnotized. And if you don't believe that's true, but you're eating synthetic foods or you're drinking alcohol and you're watching television, you're definitely MK Ultra'd. And I've had a wild few years, because I went down some of these rabbit holes a long time ago, and my cognitive dissonance had me going, okay, like, I almost saw it as fun. You know, I went down those rabbit holes the same reason why I go through paranormal or true crime shit. You know, part of it's for validation, part of it's just for shits and giggles. And for a long time, I just decided, okay, it's just a thing. You know, it's conspiracy theory, whatever. I was in that same thing. Like, I kind of didn't take it too seriously until I started living it. And I was just getting confirmation and validation over and over again. And back to the dark night of the soul, part of my dark night of the soul was sort of knowing these truths, even though I didn't see it. Because I'm a, you know, I believe it when I see it kind of girl. And you got to be careful what you ask for. Because I put that out there, and it was presented. It was definitely presented, and I definitely got confirmation and validation of a lot of these hard truths. So, for a second, I just want to talk about, you know, what's your purpose? Why are you here? You know, I mentioned that we come into this world with the universal consciousness, and we're ready to learn, we're ready to grow, we're ready to be the best versions of ourselves, but then we're brainwashed and conditioned into living what people are calling the Matrix. And like I said, that's the go to work, grind, do the things. And we all do the things because it's what we're supposed to do. That's just how it is. Makes no sense, right? But we did it because everybody else is doing it. That's the 100th monkey. And I had a hard time kind of going back to the normal life after, you know, not only just educating myself on a lot what's going on, because it's not just shits and giggles. I mean, the truth is, it comes down to a lot of whistleblowers saying, hey, you need to know what's going on. And I'm not here to, you know, say what you need to believe. I'm not going to spoon feed information. I'm going to be real with you. If you wanted to know truth, you would find it. And I will, you know, drop some hints and plant some seeds. You definitely should look at some things, but it comes down to, if you want to know, you'll find it out. If you're still dependent on the system and your abuser, you may be having a rough next year. And I keep calling it the splitting of the timelines, because if you're so dependent on a system that you really don't really know how it works, what the original intentions are, what it's doing for you or against you, you're just gonna have this reality created around you. And that's what's so wild, because I get people who, you know, call me a bit witchy, call me a bit mystical and magical and all of that stuff, and I'll resonate on some levels, but the truth is I just learned the game and I learned to play it. It's kind of that simple. And I think everybody should learn the game so you can play it, because otherwise you're just having it work against you. I mean, you don't realize that you're partaking in rituals and legitimate black magic, and you want to think that's wild, but what do you think holidays are? What do you think birthdays are? What do you think all of these things that we do every year? It's a ritual, it's a magic, but who's it benefiting? Not you. You know, so people look at me sideways when I say, oh, set your full moon intentions or release what's not serving you. I'm like, no, it's tapping into the energy, tapping into the universal frequencies and learning how to do it. So I I guess the reason why I'm here is just because I'm trying to do my best in waking up the people around me, because I've got some big problems with how it's affecting my loved ones. And as the system crumbles, I'm watching people around me who are so dependent on it are just absolutely miserable right now. And like I said, I've got problems with that. And as I tapped in, as I learned to tap into the frequencies, the energies, this universal, my purpose, I simply asked the question, what's my role? You know, what's my purpose? And before I knew it, I had a whole career change, and I got into trauma, I got into healing, I got into all sorts of things, which, funnily enough, you know, I had already been doing my whole life. You know, I went into psychology in college. I did massage therapy school. I learned about the energetic body, learned about the physical body, learned all sorts of things that kind of align with this. And that's kind of the wildest thing for me, is that people talk about soul contracts, people talk about, you know, what's your purpose, and, you know, higher self, whatever you have it, but it comes down to just fulfilling my role. And my role is to shine the light. My role is to kind of show you what's up and what things are, you know, how things are going down. And I know that it's kind of wild and out there and crazy, but it's my truth. And I'm very aware as to how crazy it sounds. It's really easy to sound crazy when you're talking about crazy things, but I'm just going to do my best to direct your attention to the psychopaths who are actually doing the crazy things that I am only talking about. And it's that simple. So I know I'm kind of rambling here, because my original intention was just to kind of talk about 2020, how it's affected everybody, and everyone is just in fear. The fear is so real, and it's incredible just kind of having a bird's eye view of it. It's pretty insane, actually. You know, I have had people in my life who completely forgot that you can get regular sick. And they've gotten tested for COVID like 5 or 6 times. They're like, why is it negative? I'm like, well, because you can still get regular sick, but you are so MK Ultra'd that you don't even realize that that's a possibility anymore. And then let's even talk about, you know, the narcissism of the society. And there's a difference between narcissistic personality disorder versus narcissism and narcissistic tendencies, which is pretty simple. It's like a lot of people are kind of in this Me Too mentality. And it honestly makes me think that some people want a positive test result. And that just blows my mind. It blows my mind that people seem to almost want a positive test result. And if anything came out of 2020 for me, was I learned I've never been so healthy in my life. I've got people in my family like, you lost a lot of weight, you look good, all of this stuff. I'm like, I woke up. I learned the game, I started playing it. And if there's anything I picked up from 2020 was learn how to take care of my body better. And learn how to make healthier choices. You know, I'm surrounded by too many people who are yelling at other people to wear a mask, but they're smoking. They're drinking. They are doing so many unhealthy things, eating synthetic foods, synthetic meats, and don't even realize what it's doing to yourself. It's legitimately lowering your vibrational frequency. And there's an energetic frequency in absolutely everything. This is why I believe it was Nikola Tesla. And when you start to look at the world in energy, vibration, and frequencies, things start to make a lot more sense. And yeah, it is like people are trying to feel validated. It's like they want a positive test result to feel validated. And kind of back to the narcissistic tendencies, because again, fine line between narcissistic personality disorder and narcissism. I actually view narcissism in my experience as a little bit of a trauma response, because it is validation. People just want to, you know, everybody just wants to feel safe. Everybody just wants to feel taken care of. But it comes down to, you know, oh, this happened to me. I'm part of the chaos. I'm part of, you know, what's going on in the world. And what's wild is when I tell people that I've stopped watching television and I've stopped watching the news because I understand the game and I know what's going on, people are looking at me sideways. I've even had people say things like, well, how are you going to know what's going on in the real world? And my response is, I'm going to be real with you. My real world is my health, my wealth, my happiness, my family, my home, my community. That is the real world. Everything else is TV. And given what I know about MK Ultra, given what I know about mind control, Project Mockingbird, all of that stuff, like, you learn the mind games. You learn the sinister intentions behind everything. And it's blowing my mind. It's really blowing my mind, because I remember, it makes me feel like in high school again a little bit, because I remember being younger and I'd be the only person who can see the narcissistic asshole who's got everybody's, you know, wrapped around their finger, and I'm just like, how do you not see this person? How do you not see their intentions? How do you not see, you know, that they're absolutely horrible? And then I'm the asshole for pointing it out, but then later down the line, they're like, oh, should have listened to you. And I'm just like, well, maybe you just got to learn the lesson. So I realize I'm kind of rambling right now. I'm not really sure what exactly I wanted to, like, point out. There's just so much to talk about. There's so much that is going on. There's so much craziness, and I just can't stress enough that a lot of people really think that all they know is all there is to know. And like I said before, chances are you're only a few decades old, and you were born into a system that's a few hundred years old, and you don't know the original intention of that system. And that system is really kind of fucking everybody's shit up. So as we go into this next year, I'm really trying to get people to set their intentions. What do you want for this year? What do you want this year to be like? And do you realize that you actually have a lot more control over to how it goes than you think you do? And the power of the thought is absolutely incredible. This is why the brainwashing, the mind control, the MK Ultra exists, is because if you had your own thoughts, like I said before, an awakened human being is a threat to the system. And I'll just use myself as an example. I mean, a lot of people felt like 2020 was a shit year, and like I said before, it was probably the best year I've ever had. Maybe not ever, but one of my better years. I've never been so healthy. I've never been so enlightened. I've never felt more in control of my own life. And a big part of it is simply because I see the game. I've got a bird's eye view. And I can't stress enough that I am aware that it sounds wild and crazy. It is what it is. And I highly encourage that people do their research, because you are your own best teacher. I'm not going to spoon feed information. I can't do that. I don't have the energy to get into a debate with somebody who doesn't want to believe it, who's in the cognitive dissonance. I've been there and I've done that, and I'm not in that game. I'm here for the healing. I'm here to turn my light on. I'm here to guide everyone through it, because it is what it is. And it's time to learn the meaning of life. It's time to learn your purpose here. It's time to learn what this world, this realm actually is. And the truth is stranger than fiction, you know? It's pretty wild. On the one hand, it makes complete sense. On the other hand, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, but that's the cognitive dissonance. You know, we've legit been conditioned not to believe in what's actually real. And we live in such a society right now where people will believe anything but the truth. And that's insanity to me. So just ask questions. How's your mental health going? How's your physical health going? Are you happy? You know, when was the last time you danced? When was the last time you laughed? When was the last time you felt healed? When was the last time that you felt like you had purpose here? Because that's a big part of that dark night of the soul that everybody is going through right now, is that you feel like the world's about to end. You feel like your life has been a bit of a waste. You feel like a lot of people are afraid right now because you don't know what to believe in. People don't know if they should believe in God. People don't believe if they should, like, you know, just go by their own hands. Like I said, suicide rates are going through the roof, and it's really breaking my heart. Like, no one's talking about this. And again, it's more mind control. It's more mind game. You know, people don't realize, everyone's talking about the spikes in the cocoa virus, but nobody's talking about the spikes in domestic violence. Nobody's talking about the spikes in suicide rates. Nobody's talking about the spikes in poverty or famine. We're talking about a virus that isn't even really affecting a lot of people. And I know this is going to be, you know, something people aren't going to want to talk about, or people are going to want to debate, or people are going to call conspiracy theories. And I can't stress enough that words mean things. The actual textbook definition of conspiracy is a secret plan to do harmful or unlawful things to another party. Now, I don't resonate with the word theorist because I'm not really theorizing. I mean, occasionally I ask the question, like, how are they going to do this? I guess maybe technically that would be theorizing. But it takes whistleblowers, people on the inside, to actually tell you what's going on. And all it takes is a little bit of research. And if you're only listening to the mainstream, you're listening to a controlled narrative. And do you realize that you're not even, like, half the thoughts in your head aren't even your own? Like, that's kind of what it comes down to. And this is why everybody is so freaked out right now, is because of what's been fueled in your head your whole life. Like, you're born into television. Television has been a part of everybody's life their whole life. And this is why, more often than not, your thoughts aren't even your own, and you don't even realize that. Now, throw in the toxins, throw in fluoride, throw in all of these other neurotoxins that are legitimately calcifying your pineal gland and keeping you from not seeing. You know, I kind of came out earlier this year about how I'm a little bit of a medium, and I've had paranormal experiences and things like that, and, you know, a lot of these other truths that are coming out are just not that far of a stretch. You know, again, it's just kind of like training. My whole life I've had all of these experiences that led up to this, and I'm finally at a point where it's like, okay, it's time to speak my truth. And that is something that I have been working on a lot in 2020, is speaking my truth. Even as I say this now, I can feel like my throat chakra acting up a little bit, because I haven't spoken my truth, because a lot of people think it's crazy, and the truth is, it's like the most sense ever. And even going into working in trauma, like I said, I sort of tapped in and I asked what my role was, what am I here to do, how do I help, and before I knew it, I was working at a trauma clinic. And while I was working at the trauma clinic, again, I said, be careful what you wish for. I was in the I'll believe it when I see it mentality. Some of the clients that I worked with, I had a client who was like 76 years old, and he spoke about his MK Ultra experiences and how when he was in the army, he was just doped up with drugs, and they made him listen to, you know, crazy music and watch screens and all of this stuff. And I had another client who was trafficked. I had another client who experienced Satanistic ritual abuse, satanic ritual abuse. And so all of this stuff, again, it's like, in a weird way I asked for it, in a weird way it was training. It's funny how the universe works, but I got confirmation of everything that I had researched and didn't want to believe. And I challenge you to play that game. I challenge you to put it out there. I challenge you to tap into that energy and see what you get confirmation of, because things are happening faster and faster. And astrology is not just your horoscope. You know, everybody's talking about all the eclipses this year. Everybody was talking about the conjunction. I saw so many memes, like half-assed jokes of people saying, I can't wait to get my superpowers, you know, on the 21st. And I don't know how many ways to tell people that you've had them your whole life. You've had them your entire life, you know. Anytime that you thought of a family member or a friend and they gave you a call, or let's say you've got a best friend and you happen to say the same thing the exact same way at the exact same time, like, that's a psychic link. That is an intuitive, that is a telepathic connection that you have. These are things that you were born with, but were suppressed by brainwashing, by poison, by food, by alcohol, by so many things. And on top of it, you were taught that you only use 10% of your brain. You were taught that you only have 5 senses. This is what I'm talking about when I say the matrix is crumbling. The veil is lifting. People are waking up to the truth of their divinity and who you actually are as a human being. But what's hard for everybody is that cognitive dissonance. It goes against everything that you were taught. It is a war on human consciousness. You know, everyone's talking about the World War III. It's not a physical war with guns and bangs and all of that. It's a war on consciousness. It's a war on, for lack of a better phrase, your soul. You know, it's like you are being suppressed. So I guess I just wanted to talk about that because I went through my own cognitive dissonance, and though I learned these things and I took it as information, I also, for a long time, chose to just not really believe it until I saw it. And this year I saw it firsthand. You know, it's in my face, can't deny it anymore. It just is what it is. So here I am, just, I guess, sounding the alarm a little bit. The British are coming, you know, like, you gotta know what's going on. And coming back to what's your intention for 2021, because this is truly where everyone's freaking out a little bit. And I'm like, honestly, this is where the fun starts, because it is, knowledge is power. Knowledge is so much power. And again, I don't want to compare a little bit, but this past year was one of my best years. And while everybody went low, I went high. I saw what was going on. I was equipped with the knowledge, and I made the jump. And I'm here to show everybody else that you can make the jump too. And, you know, it's unknown territory, absolutely, but it's not as hard as you might think it is. It's not as scary as you might think it is. And I can't stress enough that a lot of these dark truths, it's not just important to know about what's going on. It's important to know why it's going on. And like I said, an awakened human being is a true threat to the system. And this is why these things are going on. Because if you knew who you were, if you knew what you were as a human being, the game would be over. And this is why everybody is distracted. This is why everybody is hypnotized. This is why everybody is, you know, in substance abuse, because we are taught that just go to work, go to school, die, try not to get cancer. Like, this is what life is about, and it's bullshit. And I know you know it's bullshit. What's happening with everybody is that not everybody knows how to identify it. Not everybody knows how to really even talk about it or put it into words, because I don't know how else to explain or even put it in such a way that the world's simply run by a bunch of psychopaths who hold the keys to the universe and are using them against you. Like, that's really all it comes down to. And everything you were taught not to believe in is very real. And kind of that bird's eye view again, it kind of just blows my mind, where it's like, it's in your face. So I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, But every once in a while, I'll be at a friend's house or at my parents' house, and I see something, and I can see right through it. Like, it kind of makes my third eye hurt a little bit, where it's just like, I can see the programming. I can see the subliminal messages. I can see the subconscious programming and what they're trying to get people to think and do. And even in simple things, I was telling a friend about how I follow like a human anatomy page, and she kind of looked at me sideways like, why? And I'm just like, well, because don't you want to know about your body and how it works? And on top of that, I've seen programs, like they're called programs. They're called programming, television programming. But they put it in jokes, like, you want to be afraid of your body. You don't want to know about your body. You want to trust the doctors. And you know, medical malpractice is like the third leading cause of death in this country. But yeah, trust the people who know more about you than you know about yourself. It's not hard to learn about yourself. It really isn't. And a lot of people think that knowing about themselves is simply knowing about their personality or what they like or what they do. No. Know about your energy. Know about your physical anatomy. Know about your chakra system, your spirituality. Know about how you respond to the universal frequencies, you know, things like that. You're going to want to know all of that stuff. And you have nothing but time. Again, you're only a few decades old. You're probably not even halfway there yet. You have nothing but time to learn. You have nothing but time to figure out what this life is about. And I keep saying that this is where the fun starts. So empower yourself with some knowledge. Empower yourself with some perspective. Talk to people. I am learning that a lot of people are actually awake, but not a lot of people are talking about it. And I think that kind of blows my mind a little bit. It's because you know what's going on. You know the corruption. You even know about the different dimensions. You know, people talk about what is it, the Mandela effect. You know, that's kind of what started things for me, was the Mandela effect. But people will know about this stuff, but no one's really trying to make sense of it. It's just a thing. It's just the way it is. Nobody's really asking questions. It's time to ask questions. It's been time to ask questions. It's time to find answers, because if you're honestly trusting that the news is going to tell you what's going on, you're being led to the slaughterhouse. I hate to break it to you. That's just kind of a fact. And it's time to tap back into your intuition. It's time to tap back into your truth and wake up. What is it? Wake up, Neo. You know, this is really what's happening. So tap in. Set your intention for this next year, because I'm going to be real with you. The power of a thought, the power of your mind is incredible. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I chose to think that I could. And I chose to take control of my own life. Like I said, like, everybody went low, I went high, I made the jump, and this is what I'm doing. I am legitimately creating my life. And I am here to show you how to do the same. So I would like you to ask yourself what your intention for this next year is. Are you going to just let the reality happen around you? Are you going to create one for yourself? Are you going to just see what happens? Or, like, what are you going to do? What's your intention? Because it really is all in your power. It's like in your control. I don't think you realize that, because we've been conditioned and taught to give away power from the beginning. But it absolutely is 100% like in your hands. So I just want to leave you with that message. I want to say that it's pretty normal that most people are going through what they're going through right now. This disconnection from their universal truth, this disconnection, this unknown, this uncertainty, wondering, you know, what your purpose, what your role is, why are you even here? It's very, very normal right now, because you're learning that everything you've been taught was basically a lie. And it's it's time to find the truth. So if you can't come up with an intention for this year, maybe I can offer some intentions for you, which is just to look for truth, look for your purpose, look for healing, look for honesty, and step into your power. I think those are some pretty good intentions to have coming into this next year, because otherwise you're dependent on your abuser. And as somebody who's been there, done that, read the book, saw the movie, bought the t-shirt, it's not the way to go. Not even a little bit. So, I love you. I'm aware that I just kind of rambled a little bit, but I just wanted to get some things off my chest because I know how so many people are feeling, and this collective energy is very real, and it's very heavy, and I just want you to know that you can release it. I want you to know that you can transmute that, and you can literally turn your life into whatever you want, but you do kind of need to know what you're dealing with in order to do so effectively. So I think that's all I have to say tonight. If you've made it this far, bless you. Thank you for hanging with me. Thanks for listening. If you made it this far, chances are it's hitting your, what I call the tuning fork. Like it's resonating on a deep level, and you might not even know why. So if you've made it this far and you're just wanting to know more, send me a message and we'll talk about it, because this is kind of what I'm here for. I'm here to bring the truth. I'm here to bring perspective. I'm here to bring healing. I'm here to teach people how to release that energy. I'm here to teach people how to transmute it and be that divine human being that you came here to be. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I will talk to you later.